Hi everyone, welcome to my channel English with Bhavna. So today I'm back with another topic, that is Lord Spring part 1. So we will be doing this chapter in two parts as this chapter consists two stories. So let's do one by one so that we have a better understanding as well. Okay, so let's get started with the topic today's. So Annie's Jane is an author who was born in Rodrika and spent her childhood in Hyderabad. Okay, as childhood and adult as well. She received her education in Hyderabad and United States of America. Her parents were both writers and she began her career as a writer in India. And she has written many books as well and she was one of the good author. So let's begin with the story of hers today. Lost Spring. First of all, who is the author of that? It's Annie Jung. Okay, she is a female. She began her career as a writer in India. Now, Lost Spring. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Now, what does this line mean? Rag pickers, the one who picks up the waste and sell it off, they are known as rag pickers. Okay. Now the child over here, this is a beautiful story of a child, and this is a, I would say, a fact as well. In some parts of the world, still it has been practiced where children are not getting the basic necessity, they are not getting food, and for their survival, they are collecting garbage. They are collecting garbage and selling it off. Child labor is still practiced as well in some parts of the world. We people are having a good 4 times food, but still children, there are children who are not having basic one time food as well, and they need to work a lot for the small amount of food as well. For their basic rights also they need to work for the basic eating, the food habits as well. For just for one chapati also they need to work a lot. This is a fact reality, a harsh reality in some parts of the world, a harsh reality which needs to be accepted, and we all as a human being needs to take a stand for it and try to help it out as and when we see it, instead of just ignoring it and just going through our life as it's going. When please understand, this chapter is actually is one of the harsh reality which the author has picked up, but it's quite beautiful as well. So let's get started more. Now, Lord Spring, why do you do this? I asked Sahib. Now, who is I over here, children? I is no one but the author whom I encounter. Encounter means what? Experience. So, whatever I tell you, please do write it if you want. You can write it as well. See, this is what? Experience. So what you can say, this is experience first of all. Next, every morning scourging for a gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Now, scourging means what? Searching. Sahib left his home long ago, set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. Dhaka is a place in Bangladesh. Okay, see, you can see the picture as well. His home is not even a distant memory. There was many storms that swept away their fields and homes, his mother tells him. Now this is a story when they left their home, okay, and why did the people leave Dhaka? Because there were storms and everything was swept away. That's why they left looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. I have nothing else to do. Who is saying this? Sahib. Okay. He mutters, means in a low volume, he says, looking away. Go to school, I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow that advice must sound. Who said? The author said, go to the school. But then later the author was also realizing that I have given really bad, idea. Because even she is aware the condition of the environment over there, surroundings over there. So what did the child reply? Sahib, he said, there's no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. So he was ready to go to the school once the school has been built up. So understanding the innocence of the child over here, Sahib, what does he say? He says that he wants to go to the school. It means obviously it means that only that he wants to go to the school, but he cannot due to lack of school facilities. There is no school build up in the surroundings, in the environment over there. Next, if I start a school, now who is saying if I? It's author. Okay, will you come? I ask half jokingly. So over here, author is just asking in a joking way that if she starts a school, will he come or not? Yes, he says, smiling broadly. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? Now the child has a good dream, a good hope from home from author. That author will build up a school, and once the author build up the school, he will be the first to join the school because he is desperately waiting for the experience of school. He wants to learn, he wants to go to school. Okay? It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. Now what is it? Now author is feeling embarrassed, guilty. She made a promise that was actually not meant. She just did it, gradually, jokingly, and she's now feeling embarrassed for it. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. Means what? Every corner of his world, he is like thinking when the promise would be fulfilled. After months of knowing him, I asked him his name. Who asked? Author. Sahib Yala, he announces. He said his name is what? Sahib Yala. He does not know what that means. He doesn't know what is the meaning of his name. If he knew its meaning, what is the meaning of his name? Actually, Lord of the Universe. Okay, he would have hard time believing it, right? Obviously, he is a child who is a rat picker, who is not having food to eat, who is not having the basic right to education as well, and his name means Lord of Universe. So obviously he would be having a hard time to believe the author is having such thoughts. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the street with his friends. An army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at the noon. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. Why aren't you wearing chappals? The author is asking. I ask one. My mother did not bring them down from the shelf. He answers simply. See how innocent the child is. Even she did, he will throw them off. Adds another. The another is saying even if our mother would have given it, she would have got down from the shelf, we would have thrown. Why? Let's see. Who is wearing the shoes that does not match? Do not match it. The boy is saying why to wear a shoes that do not match our clothes? Doesn't make any sense. Okay. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes, says a third boy, who has never owned a pair all his life. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village road. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a spiritual state of poverty. Means the author is wondering, is it really a tradition? Or is it to show that actual what is a situation of the some parts of the world where they are living where they don't have a money to buy a pair of shoes also? What is it? It is just an excuse or it is actually a tradition? It is just an excuse to the poverty that you don't have a money, lack of money is there, or actually it's a tradition. Now, the author is saying, I remember a story a man from Udupi once told me. Udupi is a place. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple, means go to the old temple where his father was a priest. Priest means we say as the Maharaj, okay, in the world. Now, he would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. As we go now, see, whenever we are going out, we see in between, we see any of the temple, right? God place, worship place. What we do? We just go ahead this way, right? Same over here. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned. Drowned means submerged. In an air of desolation, in the backyard where lived the new priest. Okay, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting. Panting means breathing fastly. Okay, and threw his school bag, on a folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remember the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Now, what the what the story is saying? One of the story the author is trying to recollect from the past. There was a boy who always wanted a pair of shoe. He used to always ask God only one thing, that is what pair of shoes. And at the second part, the author is saying, I saw a boy who was having everything, and as soon as he used to come from the school, he used to just throw the bag on the bed. So, and once the boy, another boy who was praying for the shoes every time he got the shoes, what was his word? How did he thank God? Let's see. Looking at the boy, the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. He was so happy and he was so secure, feeling secured with just one pair of shoes, saying that God, please let me never lose them. Right? The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes. But many others, like the rag pickers in my neighborhood, remain shoeless. Still, there are many rag pickers, the one who is collecting the waste and selling it off. There are many still children who are not having a pair of shoes to wear. They are just roaming over here and there barefoot. So this is the harsh reality of our world. Some parts of the world where children are not having the basic right of wearing a shoe as well. It's such a such a pathetic, I would say, and such a heart pain, situation where children are suffering so high for the basic necessity, right? Yes. My acquaintance. Acquaintance means what? To one whom you meet once or twice, we say acquaintance. With the barefoot rat pickers, led me to Simapuri, a place on a periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it. Means it was border on the Delhi. It was said that it is a part of a Delhi, but it was symbolically quite different from metro. It was just a slum area, sort of. Those who live here are squatters. Who squatters means the one who have come up from who came. Squatters means which actually will say as the one who occupies the land illegally is known as squatters. Okay, who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. It still is, but it's no longer empty. It's not empty now, okay? And structures of mud with roofs of tin and trampoline. What do you mean by that? Like basic blue sheet we say, okay? Devoid of sewage, drainage or running water, live 10,000 rat pickers. Means many of the rat pickers are living over there. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards get their name on voters list and enable them to buy grain. Food is more important for survival than an identity. See, such a beautiful thought is over here, and such a harsh reality of our life it is. Identity is not important. What is important? Food. Because if you eat food, then only you will survive, right? So even though they were not having identity, it's fine for them. But they wanted food. So what did they do? They were getting their ration cards with the voter IDs and they were having food, but they were not having their own identity. They were not known by names, nothing. So still they were okay. They said food is more important than identity. Next, if at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to the bed without an aching stomach, means painful, like empty stomach pains, right? That we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. So the child is saying that it is better to live here where we can get food without identity is also fine rather than living where we cannot get any food, we cannot get anything in the fields. Okay. Say a group of women in tattered saris when I asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. Who is saying this? A group of women. Children grow up in them, becoming partners in survival. And survival in Simapuri means rat picking. Now, what is the survival? Survival over there for each and every, most of them, I would say, is what? Rat picking. They survive by picking up the rat, means collecting the waste and selling it off, and getting the food by not not being identified as well. You don't have your self identity, but you get the food, so that is more than enough for them. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. Why? Obviously, because they are getting food. For them, it's a gold only. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it's a leaking roof. Even though, some we live in a house, right? But during the rainy season, many of our houses at times, after the years, till the years, we are not repairing it, or we are not just upgrading our house with a paint and all that. There is a leakage, right? At times there is a leakage, so they are living in a roof, like huts and all that. So obviously there would be a leakage every time whenever it rains little also. So they are saying that we are still happy there as well. Even though it's a leakage, we are still happy. So this is a harsh reality. But for child, it is even more. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. Child is saying, at times I find a rupee and 10 rupee note as well. So he is feeling very happy. Sahib says, his slice lightening up. When you find a silver coin and a heap of garbage, means a lot of garbage, you don't stop scourging, means you don't stop for searching, for there is a hope of finding more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder, means covered in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fence gate, means border gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I like the game. He hums, means says slowly, murmuring, content to watch it standing behind the fence. He is satisfied watching it as well. I go inside. When no one is around, he admits. He says that when no one is there now, I go inside and I enjoy myself. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me. He says in a manner of an explanation. He's saying that someone gave it to me in a manner of explanation. The fact they are discarded shoes of some rich boy. Discarded means given away. Even when we are using a pair of shoes or clothes for a longer time and little bit it's over, faded or torn also, little bit also, what we do, we just throw away. So that's what. The fact they are discarded. Okay. Next. It's one who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole on one of them. Just a hole, and the child has refused because he's rich enough to get the new pair, but the Sahib is happy to get that pair of shoes as well. The children are happy who are the red pickers. Does not bother him. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. He's saying the one who has walked every time barefoot miles away. Oh, just a hole in his shoes is nothing for them. Still, having such shoes was a dream for them. So it's fine. It's so happy, so content. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. Obviously, he's saying that the game he's watching is out of his reach. This morning, now the next time. This morning, Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. What is it? Milk booth. What does it mean? All of a sudden, milk booth? He was a rag picker till now. So let's see what is it. In his hand is a steel canister. Canister means container, cylindrical container. I now work in a tea stall down the road. He said that I started working. Child labor. He says, pointing in the distance, I'm paid 800 rupees and all my meals. He's saying, I get 800 rupees and I get all meals as well. Does he like the job? I ask, means the author asked. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bed he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. Means what over here? He was, author could, understand, the author could feel it. He was more happy being a rack picker than doing a job where he needs to carry a steel canister. You know why? Because he was his own master that time and now he's working under someone. So he's not that happy, but obviously due to the condition of the family, due to the survival of himself, he needs to work. So he's working in a shop, in a tea stall where he's serving tea for everyone and carrying a steel canister. Okay. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. So this is a beautiful story of a boy named Sahib. Okay. I hope you have understood the first part of this Lord Spring, and I would be back with the second part of it. where it is a story of another person. So stay tuned for it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And if you have liked my video, also don't forget to like and share it with your friends. Till then, bye bye, take care.